Thank you. Yes, we would like to present to you two examples of the Netherlands, and it will be presented by Maaike van der Bosch from Omroep Flevoland, and I will present the other example. And yes, we have two examples, and in the Netherlands we organize our own award, and it's called the NL Award. It's like a CIRCOM, the pre-CIRCOM for the Netherlands. And we took two examples for you. They were nominated for this prize, and they were dealing with refugees. And I don't know if it's on purpose, but in a way they had a very constructive approach in their projects. And what do we see as constructive? What we see as constructive, and we didn't find this ourselves, we used the aspects that Catherine Guildenstedt researched, and she distinguished 5 aspects. She said constructive is expand the mind. Journalists create reality, but you have to know which reality you create. The other aspect she distinguished is storm the brain. I think it's a common practice in a lot of newsrooms. So you organize a brainstorm to get new questions, to get new perspectives. And then she says, you change the question from objective to accountable. And then the 5th aspect is tell it right. So tell it right has also to do with the ending. You can end a story in a very negative way, but you can also end a story in a more constructive, positive way, looking and open to solutions. And the 5th aspect is that she says, move the world. I mean, it's a very ambitious aspect, but it has also to do with the future-orientated way of telling a story. And we will just show 2 aspects. We show one aspect of the reality you create. You can also find the unconventional stories. And that's what Maaike will show you. She found a very unconventional story. And the other project we will present is, can we find different questions? And we don't find just the questions to reconstruct the past. We can also find questions that help to construct the future. And there was a question in the room this morning, and it was, can you use the questions from the audience? And that's what they did, so we showed you later. We show first Maaike. Thank you.
Still on? No. Okay. Well, last week I had a friend over to stay with me. She wanted to spend the night because she had a big fight with her boyfriend. Well, she could stay, but she ended up staying for a whole week. Well, I love her, of course. She's a good friend of mine, and so she could stay. But really, I was glad when she went home again. I had the house all back to myself, and I really loved it. Well, why am I telling you this? Well, the story I'm telling you about today is a story about kindness. All of us would like to help somebody who's close to us, but who of us would want to help a complete stranger, somebody we don't know, invite them into our house, not knowing when or if he or she is leaving again? Well, my name is Maaike van der Bosch. I'm from the Netherlands, and I work as a reporter on a regional broadcasting station in the province of Flevoland. There it is. And in this province we have a little village called Urk. It's a special kind of village. It was an island until the 1940s, and now it's connected to the mainland. It's a small fisherman's village. It has somewhat of 20,000 inhabitants. And well, it's a very religious village. Almost everybody there goes to church. And it's a close-knit community. They like to keep outsiders out. Well, in this village was born and raised Krijn de Jong. He's a 70-year-old man. He lives there in a small house with his wife. And they decided to take in Siro Saidi from Iran.
Vader in de hemel, dank u wel dat u ons brood gegeven hebt en vis. En we danken u ook voor deze nieuwe dag. We bidden, wilt u ons leiden, ons helpen deze dag. We bidden ook voor onze families. We bidden voor Sirius, vrouw en kinderen. Wilt u ze zegenen, wilt u ze bewaren. Gelooft zij in de naam, Heer. Amen.
Geprocedeerde asielzoeker in huis nemen en niet weten hoe lang hij blijft. Krijn de Jong en zijn vrouw uit Urk doen dit geheel belangeloos.
Ben jij nog hier gekomen?
Binnen 1 jaar.
Ja. 10 maanden geleden.
Ja, 10 jaar geleden ik kwam.
En mee of zo? Nee.
Ja, een tijdje.
Ja. Illegaal, dat is een woord waar je wel verschillende uitleggen kunt geven. Maar in elk geval, als je afgewezen wordt en er zijn redenen om toch weer een nieuwe aanvraag in te dienen, zoals ook in dit geval, dan tot die aanvraag in behandeling genomen wordt, mag je het zelf uitzoeken. Dus bekijk het maar, je krijgt geen geld meer, geen onderdak enzovoort. Dus dat wordt lastig. Dus er zijn mensen die bekommeren zich daarom. En wij stonden op zo'n lijst, want ze hadden ons wel eens gevraagd, als we knijpgevallen hebben, kunnen ze aan het hadden ja gezegd. En toen ben ik dus opgebeld. En de vrouw zei, ja, ik heb een beetje vrijmoedige vragen enzovoort. En toen was het zover. En ik moest zeggen, wij moesten er even over nadenken. Want het is best wel iemand die vreemd is. En hij komt, maar wanneer gaat hij? Dat soort dingen. En, maar goed, we hebben natuurlijk, het is een Bijbelse opdracht.
Sirius is 3 jaar geleden als politiek vluchteling Iran ontvlucht en naar Nederland gekomen. Zijn vrouw en kinderen laat hij achter in Iran.
Meneer Krijn en mensen ook alles kerken, mensen, alles mensen ook echt goed, zelf mijn familie.
Ik vind het totaal niet bijzonder dat we daar niet beginnen. Dus, en het is vooral ook een Bijbelse opdracht. Gewoon, je moet vluchtelingen herbergen. En aangezien we ruimte hebben, we hebben geen groot huis, maar we hebben wel een paar kamers leeg. Ja. Dat stelt je ook voor verantwoordelijkheden, zeg maar. En
hoe gaat het tot nu toe? Want we zijn al 10 maanden verder. Sirius is hier al 10 maanden.
Ja, we hebben het heel erg getroffen, zou ik maar zeggen.
Ik sta. Ik loop. Ik zit.
Sirius is gewoon een hele aardige jongen. Echt gevoelig en hulpvaardig. Maar je maakt ook alles mee. Ik vind het heel fijn. Weet je waarom ik het fijnste vind? Om het echt mee te maken. Want je hebt natuurlijk meningen over vluchtelingen enzovoort. En ook over procedures. En dan kun je ook heel veel oordelen over enzovoort. Maar als je dingen meemaakt, en we maken, we gaan natuurlijk de dagen door. Maar er zijn momenten van wanhoop bijvoorbeeld. Gescheiden van zijn vrouw en kinderen. Wat een ramp. En meestal kan het niet aan, soms kan het niet aan.
Well, in the Netherlands and also in Flevoland, where I work, we've been confronted with the influx of asylum seekers. And the discussion in our province does not differ very much from the rest of Europe, I think. We have people that are afraid of the impact of the mass migration and want to close the borders. But there are also people that like to see more generous opportunities for those who are fleeing from violence and terror in their home countries. As television journalists, we've made stories in Flevoland about this, about the impact of the mass migration, about the growth of the refugee camps, about the shortage of housing facilities, for example, and we highlighted the political discussions. Mostly, we've shown the darker and problematic side of this societal issue, because that's news. Well, that's why this story stood out. It was a remarkable story. It ticked all the positive boxes. There was just this man who simply saw his house as a solution for a shortage of housing facilities. It was a humble, humane story in which a greater societal issue was being handled. And in this case, like the video said, he was an asylum seeker who went through all the procedures but didn't get asylum, so he was an illegal alien at that time. And then you have to figure out, you have to fend for yourself, you have to figure out where you sleep, where you eat, you have no facilities anymore. So it was hard for him. And that's really how we found this story. He was depending on charity, and at that time, a year ago, our city councils were discussing this kind of charity arrangements. And we thought, well, how many of these illegal aliens were wandering our streets in Flevoland? So we talked to the city councils and the police and aid organizations, and we found out there were dozens of them. But they were not sleeping in a park on a bench or somewhere under a bridge. They were taken in by regular people in regular houses, like mostly Christian people, like the ones in Urk. That's how we found this story. But Krijn de Jong, the man from Urk, he didn't want to go on TV. He, like I said, Urk is a close-knit community, and he didn't want to boost himself about what he was doing because he thought it was normal to do. And so we had some coffee with him and we talked to him, and of course we ate some fish because that's what we do on Urk. And finally he agreed to do the story. And for him the main goal was to tell our viewers how hard it is for an asylum seeker to go through all these long procedures, and especially when you're in a country that's no longer willing to help you anymore. So when we did the story, it aired on our broadcasting station. Krijn de Jong did get many calls. All the national media wanted to have the story too. For example, he went on the front page of a quality newspaper in the Netherlands, the Volkskrant, and he was also invited by Nieuwsuur, that's an hourly current affairs show on state TV. What also was remarkable is that our viewer reactions were positive. Mostly when we do stories about refugees, there are all kinds of negative reactions. They use derogatory words like freeloaders or rapists or terrorists. But now we have mainly kind words for Krijn de Jong and what he was doing. After this story, I kept following up on it. I stayed in contact with them, and finally CIRCOM did get his status. He applied for a second time, and his reason was he had become a Christian. He lived on Urk and he became a Christian, and for Christian people it's hard to go back to Iran, it could be dangerous. And our immigration office, they believed him, so he could stay in the Netherlands. And not only Krijn de Jong was helping him, I found out the whole village was helping him. So he got a job there. He is now working in a fish processing company, and finally he did get a house on Urk, and the whole village came together to fix up the place for him. And the last story we did was this Easter. And CIRCOM didn't get to see his family, his wife and 2 children for 5 years. And then they came over, so he could finally put his arms around them on Schiphol airport. If you want to see the whole story, this first story, it's with subtitles, and you can find it on YouTube. Just type in the name Illegal Alien at Work and you will find it. Thank you.
So the next project we present is refugees at Bulgaria. It's not my project. I just coordinated this NL award, this award in the Netherlands. But this was also a remarkable project when it comes to refugees and has a constructive focus. And the heart of this project was that they gathered the questions of the audience. And it was a multimedia project, so they gathered the questions on websites and using social media like Facebook and Twitter. They used the material to make reports, and they used also for a live debate on TV. The next, and this, she was responsible for this project, and she's called Jolien van der Griend, and she's told that her main focus was the citizens, their worries, their concerns, and their questions. And after that, they went to the institutions to ask what their answers could be and what solutions they have to offer. And so I used Facebook, and if you use Facebook, what I noticed was that you have to deal with quite negative reactions. You know, I thought, okay, this is, I'm not used to it. So they said, okay, we don't believe this media, we think you will tell the positive story, you don't tell our story, you don't tell the negative story. And another reaction was, is it useful that we give our questions because you are so left-wing journalism? But they still collected all these questions, and what Jolien said, you have to look after it, you have to really look for what worries people. So they collected in several topics. It has to do with safety, it has to do with housing, we heard it before today. It has to do with school education, with daily life, we're questioning about finance, and we're questioning about work. Yes, and on the website, the answers were given, and the website is there to stay. And it was a resource for TV, radio, and all the other outlets. Next. But there were a tough question. They asked, who are these refugees? Won't it disturb the public order? How do we know if there are terrorists among the refugees? And what about criminals among the refugees? So they were very sincere in answering these questions. But you can't say that you have all the reassuring answers. So if they asked about how about terrorists among the refugees, they told something about the screening of the refugees and that people had to deliver their mobile devices, so they were researched and everything. But they also said you can't guarantee 100%. You can't give 100% guarantees. And what about criminals among refugees? They said, okay, if it isn't a severe crime, there's no problem. But it's a really severe crime, they don't get a permanent. And they also asked, what will it mean for me? If there are problems, where can I complain? But also, so this was more the negative motivated questions, but there were also positive experience, and there were also questions of people who want to help, who say, want to volunteer. Where can we administrate? And then there was, this was the basis of the reports, and this was a major, and she was telling about a year ahead. They had a refugee center for a year, and after a year they noticed that it was hardly any problem anymore in their community. And there was even a contribution from these refugees. So they were taking part of collective activities and things like that. And it was also the source of a live debate on TV. But I still think that constructive journalism, it has to do with positive, but also you don't have the final answers, because you still have these challenges, and it's still a challenge how to pay attention to the different viewpoints without polarizing this debate. And it's still, you have to do with to deal with the prejudice of your audience. And but their focus was really to answer the questions. So you answer the negative questions, you answer also the positive questions, and you have to deal with that you want to create room also for nuances, for the grey, dare to be grey. And this is, maybe it's not constructive, but we gave the last word for the journalist. And this is what Jolien said about it. She says, tell the story from a different perspective. In this case, she took the perspective of the citizens. And she says, try to find the real worries and questions behind the loud screen. And she also says, be transparent. They made a special site where they told about how they worked, and to justify their story, they explained where they found the answers, and they explained their journalistic ways to their audience to find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. I think maybe there is always the biggest question for journalists how to be enthusiastic, but still objective doing a job. I have one question. Do you think that in the future one of editors in newsroom obligation will be to think in advance about, for example, questions that public will worry about in the future? Will we have to predict issues?
And in this way, they didn't predict it because they really asked.
Yes, because it came, but in the future.
I don't think.
Or just to follow.
I don't think you predict it. It's just maybe it's you can incorporate in your procedure that you ask citizens for their questions, and you really listen to the citizens instead of predicting. So you communicate more. So you try to connect with the citizen. But and still, then I'm not sure it's a final answer. But I think it keeps still difficult to deal with public who don't really trust you. Maybe I don't know if it's the answer to that, but I think it's good. It's good effort to do it, and it's good effort. You have to listen to your citizens.
I think it's also important because in many dangerous or big topics like refugee crisis, you have a lot of commercial media, at least in Croatia, who take sides. So, and then poison, let's say, public air. Any more questions? Okay, then thank you once more. And